Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April the 24th. This committee of Appointments Committee is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Jones, Griffin,
Here.
Fairstone. Here. Harsh. Here. Stars. Mr. Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you. All right, we please excuse the absences of Jones and Starr.
Duly noted.
Okay. This is to hear the appointments for the Fair Employment Wage Board. And we have 3 appointees that will be considered. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Why don't all 3 just come up here at the same time so that we can just pose some of the similar questions, and then everybody can, we can just knock this out and do what we need to do. And then, do we have, I see Ms. Fields here.
Yes.
Who is she here for?
For the,
She's not, that's what I was trying to understand. So she's here for Kelly Britt. Could you give her the update that Kelly Britt couldn't make it today? Well, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I know you guys, I know everybody here, and I think the colleagues know, but I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves and where they're from, and then you guys can introduce yourself and where you're from. Starting to my left.
Chris Harsh, Ward 13, Oak Brooklyn.
Blaine Griffin, Ward 6, also council president and filling in as chair of appointments today in place of Joe Jones, Councilman Joe Jones.
Anthony Harrison, Cleveland City Council, Ward 10.
Camila Villa, SEIU Local 1.
Great.
I'm Kate Warren. I work at the City of Cleveland, and I live in Ward 13.
Okay, thank you. So let me hear from all of these guys. I apologize. I was about to keep the show on the road. Go ahead.
Bishop Eugene Ward, pastor of Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, so that's everybody? Okay, all right. So today we're here to hear about the Fair Employment Wage Board, and one, it's a very important board, and for those of you who don't know my history, back in approximately 2000, I was very instrumental in working closely with the labor unions and others in order to put what's called a living wage in place. So this is where that board was really created. It's been pretty dormant for the last few years, so I'm really interested in how you're going to reinvigorate it and how we're going to use this as a tool to make sure that we address some of the inequalities that we have, especially that poor people and working people deal with in the city of Cleveland. So I really hope that this board can be stood up as a champion of poor and disenfranchised communities in the city of Cleveland, and really advise this council as well as the mayor's office on issues and policies that we can be putting in place to deal with this. I will also mention that we did pass something that the bulk of this work will be committed to around payroll theft, wage theft, and payroll fraud. And I know a lot of you are very familiar with that. We want to strengthen that law. We still hear that there's some things that we could do to make it even better. And we want to really make sure we do that. Last but not least, we did pass as council adjust the minimum wage to make sure that it was above $15.33, which is the wage right now. So this council's been committed. I know there's times when we may not always be aligned and agree, but for the most part, all of us really care and work hard for poor people. So I think I gave a little bit of an overview of what we expect out of the Fair Wage Board, but I will start with you guys, and my training has always taught me to go to seniority first, so I'll let you guys pick who is the senior of the group.
Well, I think I'm the senior of the group. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Bishop Eugene Ward, and a few years ago, I did fight against the administration for at least $15 an hour, which is no money for anyone who is working. After you look at the taxes on a federal level, the state level, the city level, if they have to take care of their mortgages or their rent, they're really not able to afford to live in a standard of living at $15 an hour because of the fact that there are expenses that they have to pay, and then they have to try and buy food, take care of their family, as well as make sure that they're able to live a satisfied life and to try to live a life that is acceptable to them. So I'm happy to be at least asked to serve on this board. My concern is making sure that the businesses that are in this city and that continue to operate realize that this board it not only is in place, but that we are able to investigate how these CEOs, COOs, CFOs, what kind of money they are making. And I know a lot of these individuals who are in those positions, as well as the entrepreneurs, do not live in the city of Cleveland and feel that they have no relationship to the workers, the people who work for them. And they're not all small business owners. A lot of them are the fat cats in this city who have gotten away with this for a long time. So I do believe that it's time for them to know that something is in place. I'm aware that this committee was approved back in the days of Mayor Jane Campbell, but this is the first time that anyone has been asked to come before you to be approved for this board. The last thing I'd like to recommend and remind you of is that when we were fighting for it with the SEIU union, that a lot of the members of council, I'm not talking about anybody here, but a lot of the members of council were not supportive of $15 an hour, afraid of the fact that we could not do it because of the fact that the state of Ohio had not legislated it. But I am proud of our city. I'm proud of Mayor Jackson, who at that time did realize a need for those who came on as city employees, where it should make at least a minimum of $15 an hour. And thankful even more that Mayor Bibb has now tried to make sure that this board is in place. That's my platform for this morning.
Thank you so much. And do any of the fellow members have any questions for Bishop Eugene Ward?
Not at the moment.
Okay. The one thing that I will say, and I just want to ask a question, how would you feel, Bishop, if the council had a different opinion as a whole than this board? Even though this board is meant to advise and really give council strong opinions, there may be times when there's a difference. How would you position your comments or your board with this kind of, if it's an impasse like that?
I think that's an excellent question, Chair. My position would be not to align politically. I would do my best to make sure that the necessary information had been given to us to try to present it properly before council as well as to the mayor to see how we can justify the wage increase of people who are working in this city, as well as around the city, to let them know that it's a new day. I do know that oftentimes people who are given political appointments are expected to agree with those who appoint them, but at the same time, I also believe that we need to make sure that we are giving our opinions as well. I can remember an individual who wanted to build a stadium in this city, and I told them they needed to put a dome on it. And I had to go around the city and promote a non-domed stadium, but at the same time, I didn't agree with it. And then, as it's going to relate to political leadership, and then being a leadership who has been appointed that knows what's right. So I believe that there are times that we can work with council as well as with the mayor's office. But if the mayor's wrong, we need to let him know he's wrong. We can do it privately and then come out publicly and then stand with him. But at the same time, we need to recognize and understand how important it is for us to have peace of mind within ourselves so that we can go to sleep at night.
Bishop, well said, and that's the reason I asked that question, because I think that you articulated what most people expect out of boards. Nobody expects for boards to totally agree with council, but to give us the best information for us to make the informed decision and to really, at the same time, like you said, disagree agreeably. And I think that you've always been a person that I've been able to work with like that, so appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
All right. Ms. Warren, I think we'll go with you next, not because of seniority, but because you're here. You're right in front of me.
Sure, thank you for having me. So my name's Kate Warren. I live in the city of Cleveland. I've worked here at the city of Cleveland in the mayor's office for the past year and a couple of months. And I'm excited to be asked by Mayor Bibb to serve on this board. I've spent the better part of my career advocating for people in poverty. I started my career working in direct service with people who are experiencing homelessness, and then did policy and advocacy work and research related to people who are in poverty and that are uplifting them and putting out research that advocates for a living wage. So I think this is right in line with the work that I've spent my career doing. I think on behalf of the city, I hope to serve on this board in a way that makes sure that as a city government that we're spending our money on contracts with businesses and organizations that are fair actors and that are treating workers fairly. I think, as a board of all new members, we'll have to work together in the early months to really clearly lay out what the scope of the work is that we're to do as a board and set up some governance for ourselves based on what the ordinance tells us to do and learn to do that work together. We haven't met as a group, so I'm looking forward to getting to know the other members and their perspectives and working together on behalf of workers in the city of Cleveland.
Thank you, and very familiar with your work as well. I know you're very good at data and looking at those things as well, so hopefully you bring a lot to that to the table. I do want to ask the same question that I asked of the bishop. If there are policy differences, especially, well, first, before I even do that, did you guys, and I know this is an administration question, but did you guys vet whether you are able, as an administration official, in addition to being appointed to the board, did you guys vet if that is actually official and can be done? I just want to make sure.
So my understanding is that it is laid out in the ordinance that one of the members of this board should be a member of the administration.
Okay.
And Mayor Bibb has asked me to serve representing the administration in that capacity.
Okay, and will it be a paid role or an unpaid role? Do we know?
So I'm paid as an employee of the city of Cleveland. My understanding is I would not receive any
Okay.
additional payment.
That
for
was my
this
understanding.
board
I just wanted
service.
to
Yeah.
make sure that if I was right, because I know that I shared a couple of things and I'm familiar with that. I just want to make sure I was right. Same question that we have for the bishop, and yours is actually a little bit more unique. If there are policy differences with council, be it from your own philosophy or be it from the mayor's standpoint, how would you handle that situation and position?
Council President, I think you know from our years of knowing each other and working with each other, I'm a very pragmatic person. I think even when there are disagreements and details of policy, I think a lot of us want the same thing for workers and people of the city of Cleveland. And, we all want to take steps in the right direction. So when there are disagreements, I'm going to seek to find common ground and take steps in the right direction for workers of the city of Cleveland.
Great. Any questions from my colleagues for Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Councilman Anthony Hairston?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just quickly, how many people are actually on this board? How many do we have?
Five. It's my understanding 5. I believe 5, but we could double check and verify that. But I
So
believe
the
it's
5 that we have here this will be the board.
yes.
The other 2 individuals?
I believe the other 2 individuals. I believe we have an appointment that we have to look at.
Okay, John Hodge and Melissa Corey.
Say it again. John Hodges. Okay, but yeah. So
Okay.
a couple of them were out of town. But
Okay, got it.
It's a long.
So you asked a couple of my questions that I had regarding whether someone from administration can actually sit on this board and whether additional compensation will be provided. So we answered those 2 questions. But the council president asked you a direct question, whether if there is an issue between a difference of opinion with the administration and the council, how would you land? You gave me the political answer, that you'll find common ground, that you'll try to work to figure out a solution, but you did not answer the question directly that he asked. How would you deal, where do you fall, right? Are you going to call balls and strike, as the bishop indicated? If the mayor has one thinking and this board, where you don't agree with that thinking, that you're going to speak up. If the council also has one thinking and you as a board member don't agree, that you're going to speak up. So I would like to know whether that is in fact the way that you will handle the situation, in addition to being pragmatic and finding common ground. But the bishop really answered that question head on. And so what I'm looking for is a head on answer from you, Mrs. Warren, about how you will address or handle that situation should you be faced with that.
Yeah, thanks. Through the chair to the councilman. I am someone who I'm very driven by my values. That's why I do the work that I do. if there's a circumstance where I disagree with my colleagues, be it in the mayor's office or in city council, I'm going to respectfully state my opinion and know that I can have a clear conscience knowing that I've spoken up for what is right. But I also think at the end of the day, we're a group. We'll have to make group decisions, and sometimes that means making compromises. I hope that more directly answers your question.
It does. I appreciate that. And so that's what I wanted to hear, that if you truly feel a certain way, that you won't bite your tongue or you won't speak up because you are also paid by the administration, right? That we want folks on, because this is a very, very important board here, right? This is not someplace where we just stick folks and we just say, hey, we helped you out, we did something for you, go ahead and just do what you do. No, this is important. This is very important. You know, the work that Issue 1 has done, and the SEIU as a whole in our community, the work that Bishop Ward stated, you know, even the work that you've done in your past positions, those are very important issues to our community. And we need folks on this board who are not afraid to speak up, who are not afraid to come to both administration and council and say, hey, this is what we need to see, right? This is how we move forward. This is what we need from you two on both sides of the hall to help our mission be successful. And so it's important that, you know, regardless of your relationships, you know, that you speak up, right? That you do what it is that you know is right and say what it is that you know needs to be said, no matter who it's to or what it's about. So those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Councilman. And just for clarification, I did get clarification. It's a 7-member board.
Okay.
It has 2 business people that are supposed to be appointed, 2 labor representatives, 1 community representative, 1 mayoral appointment, and 1 council appointment. So that's the committee makeup, so that everybody knows.
Mr. Chair, so who decides the 2 business and 2 laborers? Is that jointly decided?
When it was done back in the day, and I got to remember, it's like a 23-year memory lapse on this one. But if I remember correctly, that was given to the mayor at the time, Mayor Campbell. It was uncommon at the time for council to have an appointment. Usually they turned that over to the administration. So I think that was the case, if I can remember correctly. If we ever need to revisit or look at some of that, we can.
Okay.
Because I know we expect a lot out of this board, so we might have to bring it up to 21st century standards.
Absolutely. So just my last question. I'm assuming my brother from SEIU 1 is one of the labor reps, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can get, you know, which category the 5 individuals who were selected are from, I think that will help us kind of really know where our balance is, right? I would assume that Bishop Ward is a community representative, but, you know, I like to get official, which category each of the 5 individuals are representing. I can assume 2 of them, but, well, I really can assume 3, but if we can get that, that would be helpful.
We get that. Ms. Colombi, did you hear that request that we would like to get just the designated people to each of the positions? The 2 are the 2 business people, who are the 2 labor representatives, who's the mayor's representative, the council representative, and then the community representative, so that we know a matrix of who is representing which category. Okay? All right, anything else, Councilman Harrison?
No, that's it. That helps me with looking at the names. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harsh, anything? All right. That's who's up next. Camilla's up next. Thanks, Ms. Warren.
All right. My name is Camilo Villa. I'm with SEIU Local 1. I've been a representative and organizer with SEIU for 13 years. My view on this board, there's a couple components. One is we've got existing laws that need to be interpreted and enforced, especially around wage theft and the private sector's relationship with the city when it comes to contracting. So my primary understanding of our role here, and you know, as Kate said, we're going to have to probably figure out some of this, figure out our structure and our governance as it's all a new board, but is to Look at existing law as relates to the living wage law that you were referring to and the wage theft laws that you were referring to, and make recommendations on whether city policy is following the existing law, and whether companies should be eligible based on their wage theft history and their record for city contracts. The city is limited in the ability to influence the private sector in terms of wages and benefits and labor standards, but limited is not doesn't take the city completely out of the picture. The city has a role to influence by setting standards on projects either for the city or in the private sector that the city is backing in terms of those standards based on the use of public resources. So, not only does this board have the opportunity to help the city enforce laws as pertaining to services rendered to the city, we have the opportunity to influence the behavior of companies in the private sector who may be working on a project not with city dollars, but would like to work on city-funded projects. We have a huge opportunity to influence the behavior in a positive way of companies who, will follow the rules when it comes to the city, but might be cutting corners in the private sector. If now with the wage theft law that City Council passed, that would create complications for them on city contracts, and so that's a big role that I see for this board, is examining that, making sure that we as a city are doing business with the right contractors, with those who respect their workers and who respect the laws as written. I believe also there's a good opportunity for this board to engage in community education, either working with partners or working with the administration and council to make sure that both employees who work in the city of Cleveland know their rights around wage theft, know what might be happening, and then also with employers knowing what their responsibilities are and what the expectations from the city are, and from a legal perspective. A large part of my job, my day job, is to enforce contracts and make sure that companies are following the rules that they've agreed to. And sometimes it's people intentionally cutting corners or intentionally trying to get one over on their workers. But more often than not, it's a lack of understanding about what their responsibilities are, what their obligations are, or what problems workers may be facing within their existing structure. So I think there's a great opportunity for educational component here with this board to make sure that we're promoting good business practices and good employment practices in the city.
Thank you. Very well said. And, the one thing that I'm encouraged about by this board is that it seems like a good mix of thought, and more so people that are committed to working families and to poor people. And I want to say this because I've probably known Camilo, maybe more than 20 years or so. And even when we disagree, one thing I never get mad at is a man who's really committed, a man or a woman who's committed in what they believe in. I always tell anybody I respect a person who's not lukewarm in what they care for and what they're committed to. Ever since I've known him, he's never been wishy-washy about labor. And even, like I said, if we disagree, he's always been committed. So I appreciate you bringing that to the table, okay? I will ask you the same questions as I asked the other two. There may be times when the administration or council, and believe me, I know SEIU is a very aggressive organization. I have a lot of interaction with you guys, and Yanela, I hope she's watching, is a great leader for the organization. What if you have differences, or that you understand that there's some differences between council, the administration, or you and the administration? How would you approach it as your position on this board?
Sure. Well, I'm honored to be nominated for this position, and I'm grateful to be considered by council. But in this position, my primary responsibility and where I view my accountability is to the residents of the city of Cleveland, to interpret the law and make recommendations, even if that means disagreeing with council or with the mayor's office. I frequently disagree with council. I frequently disagree with the mayor, both on a personal level and in my role as a union representative. But we have laws on the books that need to be interpreted, and I think that we have an opportunity to interpret them aggressively, and I will make recommendations with that in mind. The council and the mayor are the top bodies in the city who will make the decisions on law and application of the law, but I don't view it as useful to be a yes man on this board. I don't think that's why the mayor nominated me, and I don't think that's why I'm being considered. So, as long as I have the opportunity to serve, I'll do my best to serve with integrity towards what I view my role as, which is furthering the shared prosperity of our city's wealth among our community.
Thank you. All right, those are the questions I have. Do we have any follow-up questions from my colleagues?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate your answer, Camille. You know, I got to know you over the years as well, and as the resident said, listen, hey, I don't think it matters to this young man. Hey, what's right is right, wrong is wrong, and that's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing. I
because
agree
you
with
want somebody who's going to stand on what they believe in, no matter where anyone else stands, right? I have a deep respect for you, your work, SEIU, Yanela, and the other leaders from. I always mix it up. 1199 or 1099. 1199. I always mess the 0 and the 1 up. So I appreciate your response, and I have confidence that you will do what is required of you on this board to hold folks accountable, no matter which side of the hall it's on, because at the end of the day, it's about the people who live and work in the city of Cleveland, and so that's what I'm looking for from somebody on this board. So I appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Harrison. Councilman Harsh.
I'll just say briefly, Mr. President, I've known two of these folks for a number of years, and I think Bishop Ward and I have even brushed shoulders in a few rooms over the last couple of years. And I have no reservations here. I think we have in front of us a group of highly compassionate, competent, experienced people that can do good work. And I'm excited to see what you bring with this committee that I think a lot of us didn't know existed because it's been sort of collecting dust for 20-some years. So I think it'll be interesting to see what you all get together and come up with in terms of helping to advance the interests of low-wage workers in Cleveland, and hopefully we can help a few people out in the process. So I have no reservations, and I look forward to what you bring to us.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys have any closing remarks, but let me say this. I think that as I look across this table, what makes me proud is this is a table of organizers. I know people think that I'm the establishment, and I know that this is the role that I get, but I started out just being an organizer, and hence why this law means so much to me. And, only thing that I could say is that when we have these boards, we don't want yes people. We want people that can help us make informed decisions, but we also want people that will respect this body. I've been huge on making sure this body has its independence and that it's respected for our decision-making process as well. And I feel like we've done probably one of the most progressive agendas that we've seen council do in a while with payroll theft and increasing minimum wage and some other things that we've done. I will encourage you to understand some of the other boards, right? The council, yeah, I can go on down the list. I would encourage you to look at some of the other policies that we passed because, as Camilla said, when we are talking about community benefits agreements and other things in the city of Cleveland, there should be cross-pollination amongst boards and bodies having conversations about how we can make sure that we have the strongest packages for our residents to make sure that they get a good return on their investment. But I will tell you guys, sometimes the art of the deal is complicated, and it's times when we have to make some tough decisions as council. If I'm going to respect the body and if I'm going to respect individuals, all I ask is everybody to respect what this body does, okay? So I am finished with any questions. Do you guys have any comments you want to close or any questions for us?
Mr. Chair, the only thing I would like to say is that we just like to make sure when there are questions of concern that we also have accessibility to you as you have accessibility to us, so that we are at least in agreement when there might be some disagreements, so that we can see your perspective as well as our perspectives. Dr. James Cone, who was really the father of black theology, let us know about the continued oppression that rises in this country as we have continued to progress as a country, but we see ourselves being so disjointed and being ununified in these days and times. And these times, we need to make sure that everybody is treated fairly. And I know that this board is looked at as a group of people who are going to look at the fairness of people being treated rightfully in this country, and especially in this city. And I know there have been times when Cleveland itself has made decisions that have been unpopular in Columbus. My prayer is that we will continue to move in a direction that sets a standard for the rest of the state of Ohio so that Columbus gets a message as well.
Awesome. I joke and I tell everybody, I said, if I didn't get married and belong to Mount Sinai, I would be at Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday morning. But Kate, did you have anything you want to say?
No, just thank you, council members, for your consideration and looking forward to serving.
Okay. Anything closing?
I just echo these two, but yeah, I'm excited to get to work and see what we can do to keep building for a more fair future.
Got it. Thank you guys for being willing to serve. We are going to have a council representative too, so you guys will have a person that will be a direct council person to represent our interests as well, okay? That being said, I believe all three of these individuals, Camilo Villa, did I say that right? Kate Warren, and Bishop Eugene W. Ward Jr. are stand approved. Thank you so much for being willing to serve.
Thank
This
you.
committee